Today I'm going to be giving my presentation on the topic of selling your services as a sports psychologist and consultant. So, first I'd just like to start by introducing myself and giving a little background story of who I am and my personal experience, what drew me into the field of sports psychology. I've always loved sports, they've been a huge part of my life. I grew up watching football, basketball, wrestling, soccer, even golf. And I played volleyball, basketball, and golf from third grade up. And when I was 15 years old, I received a back injury. I herniated my disc, and that ended up requiring me to get surgery. And I had a really hard recovery from that. I had a lot of mental setbacks, I just didn't feel comfortable returning. My physical therapist and my doctor told me that I was 100% okay. I did everything I needed to do. My back was going to hold up, but I just had so much anxiety and I played scared and timid, and I was just really scared of re-injuring my back, and that showed through my play. I wasn't playing well at all, and so that really damaged my confidence. I had really low self-esteem because I was not performing well. And I was in a psychology class at the time, and one day the topic was sports psychology. And so I just dug a little deeper into it and began researching more of the techniques and skills that are inside of sports psychology. And I found that imagery and goal setting are two things that are used a lot when helping athletes cope with injuries and come back from injuries. So I tried that with myself. With imagery, I just really sat down and imagined myself playing the game and playing it correctly with the proper technique to avoid re-injury. And then with the goal setting, I just really gave myself small, realistic comeback goals, Even if it was just week to week, I just needed to see small gains. And so I had those small goals set, and it really helped motivate me in the journey of coming back. And eventually I returned to 100%, and I went on to have a great season. And I attribute that absolutely to sports psychology. And so fast forward 2 years later, and my back becomes an issue again. And it essentially ends my athletic career. I'm not able to play college sports or anything like that. And so I was really lost. I had a big identity crisis because I'd been playing sports for the last 10 years of my life, and I had no idea what I was supposed to do anymore because it was just ripped from me so quickly. And I had a really hard time just accepting and acknowledging the fact that I couldn't play anymore, but I knew that I still wanted to be involved in sports, and I knew that I could still find a way to be involved without playing. So I remembered the previous research that I had done in sports psychology, and I began to dig a little deeper, exploring the field more, kind of figuring out what they actually do. And I fell in love with the work that sports psychologists and consultants do, and with the personal benefits that I had previously gained from sports psychology. I just knew that this was something that I wanted to be a part of, and something that was really going to be a big factor in my life. It's funny because when I told everybody that my major was sports psychology, the first thing anybody says is, "Well, what is that? What can you do?" And I promise there's not one short, specific, quick answer that I can give, because there are so many beneficial services offered through sports psychology and sports consulting, including performance anxiety, confidence building, returning from injury, stress and anxiety control, performance enhancement, motivation. Teams can use it to improve their performance. Individuals bring sports psychologists in to deal with criticisms and stresses of the sport. There's just a lot of different things that you can do with sports psychology. For example, an athlete returning from injury could really benefit from mental imagery, visualization, goal setting, and relaxation techniques. So with the imagery, the player can imagine the body performing well without injury, or imagine performing that proper technique to avoid re-injury. And with goal setting, like I previously said, just set small, realistic comeback goals And this really helps the athletes with motivation and commitment back to their recovery and back to the sport. Another example, helping performance anxiety. Athletes can really benefit from thought restructuring, taking those negative thoughts and really trying to restructure them and turn them into positive talks and positive self-talk. Mental imagery, visualization, the athlete can allow just a few minutes before competition for visualization. They can mentally rehearse the event in their head and imagine themselves going through the motions of that event, and it's something that is really beneficial in helping the athlete relax before the performance. So those are just a few examples of things that sports psychologists offer. But what I really want to focus on is what you feel your issues are, because at the end of the day, what's important is getting to know your team and getting to know you guys and working together to kind of build a collaborative approach to this therapeutic process, because nothing can be generalized, and I really need to know what your issues are and what your concerns are with the team, because that'll be the best way that I'm able to help you guys. You know the ins and outs of this team better than anybody else, and you know the ins and outs of this game. So that's the reason that I stress us really getting to know each other, is because if we can collaborate and combine what you know and what I know, then we can build a individualized plan for your team, because what may work for one team may not work for yours, or what may work for one athlete may not work for a specific athlete on your team. So I really want to be able to individualize the plan, and so I need your help doing that, because you know the players better than anybody else. So it's really important that you and I continue to collaborate and work together and move forward in a positive direction and see where we can take this team. And this is something that I am extremely passionate about, so I'm willing to really put the time in to get to know you guys, and I think that we can do a lot of good work for the guys. Another area of sports psychology that I really wanted to touch on was self-talk, because this is very influential for the athlete, whether it be negative or positive self-talk. So that's why it's really important to try to restructure those thoughts and give yourself positive little talks. Just simple things like, you can do this, or you're almost done. Just little things like that, they really do have a big impact. And self-talk is something that's so simple. So I think it's really important. It can be applied before, during, after games, practices, anything like that. And it can also be used to reinforce coaching cues. So let's say a quarterback is getting ready to throw a pass in a game. He can run through those coaching cues in his head of, okay, step back, follow through, like all of those type things. Small little coaching cues like that. A volleyball player getting ready to go up for a kill. Okay, strong explosion up, hit with a big hand, follow through a swing. Just simple things like that. And self-talk is really influential, so I think it's important to place a big focus on it. My work is really understanding how people perform and listening to what they do and how they're able to deal with things in training and deal with all the challenges that are a part of that sport. And if you feel like that's a resource that you can use, I would love the opportunity to work with you and your team, because I think that there are a lot of positive benefits in sports psychology, and I think there's a lot of positive benefits of things that I could personally do for your team, and I would really love the opportunity to work with you guys in that. So thank you for taking the time to meet with me today. Do you have any questions or concerns you'd like to ask me? I'd be happy to answer anything. Any stories about your team, anything like that you'd like to give me some more information about, I'd love to hear. Just let me know. Thank you very much.